The following is the audio rebroadcast of the live Star Wars fan talk show, ATGLive. You can find us every Thursday night on our YouTube channel at youtube.com/@the-SSW Network and be part of the fun. And now, this week's episode of ATGLive.
Welcome to ATG Live, your Thursday night home for Star Wars conversations, news, fantastic guests. I am Nick Mielke, one of your hosts, and like always, I have a co-host. It's not the co-host you're used to, though. Chris is not here tonight. Pete is not here tonight, and I thought, what better way than to have a guest? Let's make the guest work and host the whole show with me tonight.
Yeah.
So I am pleased to welcome my good friend, Mr. Corey Ryan Forrester. Corey, what is up?
What's going on, buddy? How was my cold read? Was that okay?
Dude, I mean, Hollywood, why aren't you calling? Let's get him working back in the studios. Get this SAG card renewed, whatever we need to do. This man is ready for, camera work, and I need some help. But you're dragging me through tonight. We're going to get through this together.
I'm glad to be here. Appreciate you called. I'm honored to be the last minute person. I'm this guy for so many people, There's so many podcasts out there who at the very last second, I get a text message. They always start the same. Hey, buddy, how you doing? Look, feel free to say no, okay? I know it's last second, and I know it's last second. And look, we've asked about 10 to 12 other people. Trust me. But if you're not doing anything later, and, I always say yes, because why would I be doing anything else?
Hey, what else do you have to do? Actually, we're going to get into everything you've got to do here later on. But before we get to that, it would not be a podcast. It would not be a live stream. It would not be certainly what we do here every week on ATG Live without some housekeeping, without some general information, things people need to know. We are going to get into the news of the week here coming up after our first break. There's a lot of news to talk about. We have Star Wars video game news. We have Angela Bassett news, which is always exciting when Angela's in the news because she's a fantastic actress. I love talking about what she's up to. What else we have? The Acolyte is coming out. We're going to talk about the Mando and Grogu movie that's been announced. And we're going to get into all that. And I'm asked Corey questions about that. And that's going to be fun because Corey told me ahead of time, he's like, look, I'm behind on Star Wars, but I'm here for it anyhow. So yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be a part of the charm of this Southern double feature that we're bringing to everybody's ears tonight and screens. So we'll go into all that in just a few minutes. Before we do, a couple of reminders. You can follow us on all of your social media. On Twitter, we are at ATGcast. We will probably be on Twitter until they shut it down permanently, just because for all the new things that have been created, that's where people still are. So we're there too. For all the good, for all the bad. Everywhere else, we are at the SSW Network. You can go to theSSWnetwork.com, find all of our merch and t-shirts. You can get your own shill shirt if you need to, stickers, pint glasses, all the usual stuff that podcasts want to sell you. We are no exception. If you use the code SHILL15, you'll get 15% off that first order. So do that. Check it out. Buy some stickers. Easter's coming. Buy Easter presents for your friends and family from this podcast they've never heard of. They won't think you're weird at all. We also have a Patreon program. We would love for you to support us for as little as $3 a month. You get access to our live podcast interviews when we do our long form interviews, hang out in the back, meet some of our guests, get a chance to access those early before we put them out in the pod feed. We send out swag 3 or 4 times a year. Some of those stickers and designs I talked about, we try to send them your way to thank you for supporting what we do here. What else do we have? We have a voicemail line. We're going to play a voicemail at the end of the show. Bad Batch started back, and if you have thoughts about the Bad Batch every Wednesday when those new episodes drop, you need to call us 504-321-1501. Leave us a voicemail middle of the night, random Star Wars deep thoughts that you have. They don't even have to be about Bad Batch. They can be about whatever the hell you want. Call, leave us a message, and if it's good or if it's not good, we really don't care. We don't discriminate around here. We'll play it at the end of the show in our intercepted transmission segment. We want to hear from you. And subscribers on YouTube. That's the last thing I need to talk about. we're really close to 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. That
Hey,
number's going up. A few every week, 8 or 10 a week. We are on our way. We would love your support. Share us out with your friends. Surely, if you're watching now, you're already subscribed. So thank you. But share it with your friends, share it with your family. We'd love to get over that mark and keep going because we try to have fun with Star Wars because that's what Star Wars is. And we like it when more people hang out and want to have fun with us. So I think that's all the things I need to talk about. We're going to get into the more serious stuff. Of course, we also have a guest tonight for the podcast. Surprisingly enough, it is the man on the screen with me right now, Mr. Corey Ryan Forrester. So
I was hosting. I'm also a guest. I got to do two things.
Got to work, son. You've got to make the paycheck we're sending you. We're going to double it because you're here, but you're going to have to work.
My goodness.
But
that's fine.
We're going to let you talk about yourself. So how's that sound?
Well, you're going to have to let me know when to shift into guest mode and into host mode because I don't know how all this works, but I'm happy to be fulfilling both duties, both Sith and Jedi, if you will. See?
You've got it all figured out. You're going to be good to go. So what we're going to do is we're going to take our first break. And when we come back, we're going to get into some of the news
Thank God.
Of the week. I know. I mean, finally, let's take a break. We've been going at it for 7.5 minutes. Back to ATGLive, your Thursday night hangout for all kinds of Star Wars fun and adventures. I am your host, Nick Mielke, and I am joined tonight by my good friend and co-host for the evening, Mr. Corey Ryan Forrester, the Buttercream Dream himself, in the house. We're going to get into some Star Wars news right now. We've got 4 stories like we do every week, and this is going to be a lot of fun because Corey doesn't know much of anything about most of these, I'm pretty sure.
Man, I don't. And please allow me right now to defend myself.
Please do.
Which I find myself doing a lot. I'm a very defensive boy. The only reason that I am so far behind, I absolutely love Star Wars. I'm not someone that goes on the internet screaming about how, Star Wars and Kathleen Kennedy need to do their best to curry favor with me. Otherwise, I'm never coming back. It's not that at all. It is the fact that I am a new father. I say new father. He turns a year next month, but he's my first. It still feels very new to me. And between my wife's pregnancy and us having this child, I was, everyone always told me, they're like, when you have a kid, a lot of things are going to change. And I was like, well, not my life because I already stay at home a lot and I watch TV and blah, blah, blah. And they're like, oh, it'll be little things that you don't even, you wouldn't even think about. And so one thing that did change was my television and movie viewing habits. Like I used to go to the movies a lot. Well, that's completely off the table which is fine by me because now you can rent most things that are in theaters at home or whatever.
Yep.
But here's the deal. Like Star Wars has always been pretty much a me thing. You know what I mean? Like my wife has her things that we have a lot of things that are crossovers, but we also have our own things. Now, my wife, she loves the original trilogy because every single human being on Earth loves the original trilogy, especially people our age. So she can get into that. But she never rocked with the prequels and stuff, which in my opinion, in order to really be into some of the new stuff, you kind of had to be into the prequels a lot because it sort of ties into a lot of that. And she was just never into the prequels. And I've since tried to get her to watch some of it. And I get it because she's watching this and she's like, wait a minute, this is about taxes and shit. What is going on? You know what I mean? Which is funny because I swear to you, dude, I think me and you have talked about this before. I think I like the prequels more now than I did when the prequels came out because
100%.
I really do. I think that at the time they got trashed a lot because how on earth are they going to hold up to the original trilogy, which was a cultural phenomenon, but B, they were really cartoony. There was a lot of cheese in it, but I would say kind of they were almost too adult oriented because of all the Trade Federation stuff. And now that I'm an adult, I'm going, hey, honestly, give me more of this. Yeah, give me more of this. I want Star Wars meets the Manchurian Candidate. You know what I'm saying? Which kind of that's I guess that's Civil War, Marvel, or no, excuse me. That's what's his face, Bucky. That's kind of Bucky's whole thing. But you know what I'm saying? Like, it's dealing with a lot of intergalactic, I cannot talk. I'm a dad. Intergalactic geopolitics, which as an adult, I'm super into or whatever, but I can't get my wife into it. And when you're married and you have a kid, during the day when I'm watching a kid, you'd think, Corey, watch Star Wars then. Well, if you don't have kids, you don't understand this. When I watch something, because I really want to pay attention to it, when you have a baby, that is not time to be watching something that you really want to pay attention on, because when you have a baby, your head must be on a swivel at all times.
Yes.
So that's the time for me to put on something that either I don't give a damn if I pay attention to it. Like yesterday, me and my baby watched a movie called 9/11 starring Charlie Sheen and Whoopi Goldberg because I was just scrolling through and I was like, I don't care if I pay attention to this piece of shit. So I threw it on. Or you rewatch movies that you've already seen a million times. So like The Departed 50 times in a row. Correct. So because at night when me and Amber are finally together, the kid is down and we have these couple sacred moments together. We have to watch something that we have to watch a 2-quadrant movie, which means it fits both me and her. Yep. So something like the Coen brothers, so we're watching Fargo. She's never seen, you know what I'm saying? Yep. I can't put her through.
I get you.
I can't take a gamble. We can't take a gamble. It has to be something that is peer-reviewed, certified banger. We know that both of us are going to like it because we're not getting that fucking hour back. And tomorrow night we'll ever have it. So because of that, I'm behind. Did he try to bleep me? Was that what that was?
No, I think we're just having fun, knocking stuff out. But I agree,
well,
and you're good.
I'm done. That was it. I'm sorry.
Awesome. Well, let's get to our first news story, and we'll see just how out of touch we really are here.
New and classic video games are coming soon. Well, this one is a little bit rumor and a little bit fact. On the rumor side, Insider Gaming said that Respawn Entertainment, the company behind Jedi Fallen Order and Jedi Survivor, is currently developing a game where players will assume the role of a Mandalorian bounty hunter, collecting their quarry, dead or alive, for credits. This game is said to be a first-person shooter, but there's no clarity on if you'll be playing as an existing character or a new one. In addition, this week, fans of the original Star Wars Battlefront game got the news that the game is returning to updated consoles and PC on March 14th. The game is coming from Aspyr, the company that was leading the now on hold Knights of the Old Republic reboot. Battlefront Classic Collection will also feature bonus maps and DLC.
Okay, that is dope. That is very
Lots
dope.
Of good stuff.
So I'm very video game dumb. Mm-hmm. In a lot of ways. I'm not hit. Like, I have an Xbox One and I've never seen any reason to upgrade because I'm just not a huge gamer. But the Star Wars games have always super hit for me. And I've got Battlefront 2 and I can't get any of the new updates because I have an Xbox One and not any of the new stuff. Is he implying that like there are new updates to the Battlefront? But I won't be able to get them on my Xbox One. So I should tell my wife, sorry, baby, I have to get a PlayStation 5. That's what I'm hearing.
You always need a good reason for that. Actually, I'm going to pull in producer Lloyd for just a second because he's our video
good, because I have
guy.
a bone to pick with him. Lloyd, 2 seconds. I swear to God, this son of a bitch says in the private chat, oh, I hit the wrong button. I was messing with my audio. No. I know when I'm getting the Oscars music send-off shit. When I've been in Hollywood for 20 goddamn years. No, it's fine. And I took the hint, but don't you dare try to curry favor with me. I know what was happening, okay? I've been in this business longer than either of you combined. All right, go back.
I did actually hit the audio slider and it messed it up. So,
all right, Lloyd, tell us about Battlefront and the release here.
Okay, this was totally unplanned, but I had to do it. Okay, so Battlefront Remastered, the collection, is basically just being reported. They're taking 1 and 2, they're updating it with the game itself, right?
Okay.
So it's not that you won't get updates, it's already included. So whatever's included in the first 2 games comes with it. Asajj Ventress is rumored to be added.
Okay.
She's not been in a Star Wars game yet, I don't believe. And new maps, new modes, new multiplayer, 64-player multiplayer maps. It's going to be all included straight out of the gate. Aspire, to their credit, is known for not really having microtransactions in their stuff. So I don't think they're going to be including any more DLC past that point. So whatever you get in the game is kind of what you get.
What you get.
That's awesome because I hate
cool.
that shit.
Yeah.
I like it to be like when I was a kid. You know what I'm saying? Like you work for what you get. You can't just be buying, extra helmet stuff. I don't like that. And I never did. Like I was like, no, I'm going to go in here, and that's where they lost me.
Yep. I'm just chugging along.
So it's all included, one package, $29.99, March 14th. So sorry. It's great. Finger guns.
That's fantastic. Well, thank you for clarifying. Go back to your hole and we'll keep going. So
Man,
that's
really
kind of
cool.
what I thought. I didn't know the answer to that. I love a Star Wars video game. I'm terrible at most of them.
Me
terrible
too,
at all
but
video games.
Since I was a kid, they've always been like Shadows of the Empire, dude. When I was a kid, like that would matter of fact, dude, maybe I've told you this story before, but when I was a kid, I was about to beat Shadows of the Empire. I think that's what it was called. It had the Stormtrooper on the front. And so I was about to beat it. I was on the last level. One of my buddies came over and he ran upstairs, grabbed my game and erased all my memory. And he was downstairs and I was furious. Like I was seeing red. He was downstairs in my sister's bathroom taking a shit. I grabbed a can of Lysol, went down there, opened the door, and sprayed it in both of his eyeballs. And he had to go to the emergency room because he couldn't see. I got grounded for the whole summer, but it was totally worth it.
Hey, it's 100% worth it. Like there's no doubt about it. So we're excited. We'll be looking forward to those coming out. And maybe we still use it as an excuse to buy new consoles because I'm using PlayStation 4 myself. Like, give me an excuse. Let me move on to, the next thing I won't use as adequately as it needs to be.
Right. So, me too.
Exactly. I won't get anything out of it, but it'll be fun. Awesome. Let's hit our next news story. See what happens.
The Mando movie is on a low budget. The Mandalorian and Grogu, which is speculated to be the next major motion picture release of the Star Wars franchise sometime in early 2026, it seems to be operating on a smaller budget. The Rise of Skywalker, The Last Jedi, and Solo, the last Star Wars movies in theaters, had budgets of close to $300 million, and the alleged budget for the Mando movie is only about $120 million. This is actually right in line with the total budget for one full season of The Mandalorian on Disney+, where the spend is approximately $15 million per episode, or, do the math, $120 million. There's very little confirmed about this project other than it will be directed by Jon Favreau, who's also producing, along with Dave Filoni and Kathleen Kennedy.
I love that.
So here's my thing. And you've worked on TV shows. You've worked on some of this kind of scripted stuff. We all know stories come out all the time about movies and budgets. And this movie cost this much to make. And it either didn't make it back or it did make it back. I understand that those last couple movies Pete talked about, were made on $300 million budgets, stuff like that. I find it interesting that in this era of Disney Plus, he said, if this one's projected to be 120 million, that's about what it costs to make a season of Mandalorian. Mm-hmm. But here's the thing. I went to Star Wars Celebration in Anaheim a couple years ago, and we got to watch the first 2 episodes of Obi-Wan in a big ass movie theater on a big screen. And it felt like I was at a Star Wars movie.
Of course.
They've screened Disney Plus shows when they've released or when they've come back out, in movie theaters for people to go see. And you go see it, and the technology, I don't think this is a big deal. Like, if you have the money to spend it, but I don't know that this is a thing. Tell me what you think.
It's not a big deal because number one, it's very rare that a projected budget ends up being the real budget.
Right.
Number two, it would be insane for anyone to think that they could give this movie the same budget that they would give one that actually fits within the franchise. I know this is in the Star Wars franchise, but within the numbers, like this is not 1, 2, 3, 4. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, it's not a trilogy.
It can't be
a legacy movie or a saga movie. Yeah.
It's not going to do those numbers. I mean, I hope it does, but you can't project that it would. But number 3, and why I immediately said I love it, is because that's going to force them to use more practical effects, right? And it's going to force them to lean more on story, right? Than anything. And Jon Favreau is a wonderful director. I don't know. I love everything about it. But like I said, they'll end up spending more money on it. But dude, they know every single person involved in that knows exactly what they're doing. And how long are Mandalorian episodes? How are they? 40 minutes?
They're usually about 40 to 45 minutes, depending.
Okay, well, 3 of those put together, that's a movie. Like, it kind of tracks. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and if
like,
you're doing that, you're talking about $45 million because it's 15 or so an episode.
Yeah.
So you're still spending more if you factor it down to the time. So I think the biggest thing that we're likely to encounter, and of course, it's going to depend on, what comes out as it's being made and how it ultimately turns out, is the fact that somebody's going to try and spin it as, a rush job. They didn't spend as much. Right. They didn't take as much time because they haven't been in the theaters in forever, and they're trying to, push things back up the hill, even though Disney's Star Wars is not dying, contrary to what you've heard.
Right. Yeah, right. I mean, look, here's the deal. We'll see. But so far to me, the most, well, you know what? It's funny. I was going to say something, but that was actually Boba Fett that I was going to complain about, which ended up just basically being Mando season 2.5, which actually ended up hitting for me because I like the Mandalorian a lot. Right. I've not been disappointed with anything in the Mandoverse. I love old Western type things, and that's what it is. I love that it feels more street level-y, like it's like in the Daredevil type to the MCU of Star Wars. Right. Now there are lightsabers and stuff. Yeah, okay. Well, it's time for us to quit, but I'm very excited about it. I love Jon Favreau. I love Grogu.
Well, and also has that magic name in there that's going to light all the idiots' heads on fire, Kathy Kennedy. But that's also, hey, guess what? Kathy Kennedy made movies in the 80s when they didn't come close to costing $120 million. So she knows a little bit about what she's doing.
She knows what she's doing.
Absolutely. Let's hit the next story. Let's keep it moving.
ATGLive coming on June 5th. Collider.com is reporting that the next live-action Star Wars series on Disney Plus will drop on June 5th of this year, aligning with a report from a few weeks ago that it had a summer release date. In addition, they reported that the show has a trailer that's also ready to drop. Finally, they reported that composer Michael Abels is on board to score the show. Abels' work can be heard on such films as Jordan Peele's Nope and Us, as well as television programs Pretty Little Liars and Alien v. Pharaoh. Our own SSWnetwork.com released a story yesterday speculating that the timing of the show's release may lend itself to running an extended preview with The Phantom Menace when it is re-released in theaters on May 3rd, 1 month ahead of the projected drop date of the new series.
All right. First question.
Okay.
Do you know what the ATGLive is?
No, I was going to say this is literally the only one that I am completely clueless on, except for that I do know who that composer is. Like, I'm familiar with that composer's work, but when I saw this, I was like, oh wow, Corey, this is the most out of the loop because dude, I know I saw a little bit of The Bad Batch and I liked it. Now I will admit, I don't know. I might have seen enough of Order 66 in my life. Maybe. I don't know. That's nothing against the show. I think the show's really good, but I might just be like, I think I might have seen enough of that. But ATGLive, genuinely no idea, but that doesn't mean I'm not excited, and I would love to hear you explain it to me.
Well, here's the thing, and this is where we get to come a little bit alongside each other. I don't fully know what the ATGLive is either. Here, and in the sense of, I mean, of course, I've kept up with it. I know it's a show that's coming. I have not read any of the High Republic books, and that part of Star Wars.
It's about High Republic stuff?
It's the tail end of the High Republic. It's set about 100 years before the Phantom Menace. So it's at the end of the High Republic, and it's supposed to be themed essentially as a mystery series, possibly revolving around a master and his apprentice comes back to him, and they're trying to solve some of the stuff that's going on that may or may not point to what we get to in Phantom Menace, which is how did the dark side move into the position that it was that everybody got blindsided.
Okay, well,
and this is Leslie Headland who did Russian Doll, and so it's got like a mystery sci-fi kind of vibe to it.
100% in. So I haven't read the High Republic books, but I have dabbled in a couple of the comic series, of both of High Republic and Old Republic. Dabbled, not read entire series, just like a couple runs that were suggested to me, whether it be by friends or whatever. And I was a really big fan of I can tell you what I was a fan of. Not that I do not love the Skywalkers and stuff, right? But I loved that it had nothing to do with any of that. You know what I mean? Like it took place in a time where nobody was, at least in the stuff that I read, no one was trying to tie anything to Darth Vader or nothing, because like it had happened before. You know what I mean? So I'm excited about that. Now, that's not to say that they won't try to shoehorn some stuff in. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. Yeah.
But like I do like that. That's cool.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm excited to get into it because I haven't read any of the High Republic stuff, mostly because there's so much of it and it just feels a little bit overwhelming at this point. Like you, I have kids, I have a wife, I have a job, I have all these things. And I spend a lot of time rewatching stuff that I've watched a million times because it's my ability to zone out at the end of the day, all that stuff that you just talked about. But I think with this, it has the potential to be an entry point for me into the High Republic. Yeah. It intrigues me because it is, going to be connected to the Phantom Menace, potentially that 100 years before. Lloyd put in the chat, part of the rumor mill is that this might end around the time of Darth Plagueis, which we hear.
Awesome.
Palpatine, have you heard the story of Darth Plagueis the Wise and all that? So there's some threads that I think are going to pull some people together. The other couple of things I'm excited about is I think this is supposed to have a little bit of like a martial arts bent to it, and I love genre Star Wars.
Like that was Lucas's original intent, because he and if you go back and watch any of Kurosawa's movies, you can tell how much Lucas straight up, and I mean this not in a disrespectful way, just straight up stole from him. Like the Star Wars wipes are from Kurosawa. Like the Seven Samurais is A New Hope. You know what I mean? So like,
and he's essentially said that's what he did, and he brought Kurosawa. He brought him to the United States to come do stuff with him and work with him and all that. But I think the other two exciting things, most of this news story is kind of around the idea that it looks like this series is going to land on Disney Plus June 5th, which is not far away. And there is a rumor
this month's. Okay, go ahead.
I was going to say there's a rumor that a trailer has already been cut and is ready. And it's possible that with Phantom Menace returning to the theaters on May 3rd, that maybe that's where we're going to get. Yeah. Ooh, news for Corey.
Dude, that's so awesome. Because Darth Maul,
25th anniversary.
I did not know that.
25th anniversary.
It's 25 years. I'm so old.
Yes, it was. I know. Welcome to my world. Yes, in fact, the clip, the first time you're ever on Podcast of the Wills, we still use it in all of our podcast intros, is when you say, Darth Vader was the scariest thing I had ever heard, and this guy looks like the devil, talking about Darth Maul. We use that clip all the time. So lots of excitement for Phantom Menace 25 connecting to the Acolyte. We're excited about all that. We have one more news story to get to, so let's hit that and see what we do.
Angela Bassett bound for Star Wars? Entertainment reporter Daniel Richmond posted on his Patreon account that Angela Bassett has been in talks with Lucasfilm for a potential role in a Star Wars. While there are no additional details, as the Star Wars movie and TV show engines begin to rev up, the timing would be right for such conversations. With the Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy directed Rey Skywalker movie on fast-track development, the Mandalorian movie, and follow-up seasons for Ahsoka and Mandalorian in the wings, there's a need for some potential star power for these projects. In 2021, friend of the show Christina Ariel fan-casted her as Asajj Ventress. Here's that clip.
What about you, Christina? Who would you like to see in a Star Wars?
Okay, so I've thought about this.
I thought that was going to play something.
No, you gotta hear me. I know it's like, okay. I want to see Angela Bassett as Ventress, because can you imagine just like the gravitas and the growl? And when you think about how she goes into that lower register in her chest and she just puts, oh my gosh. And it would just be the most graceful thing in the world, but also you'd be scared a little bit. And I think that that's exactly what it needs to be. And yes. I would absolutely wholeheartedly lose my mind if Angela Bassett was in a Star Wars.
That is a great call. If for no other reason, because first of all, let's get Ventress in a Star Wars. Yes, please. And Angela Bassett playing her, just like you said, she's got a presence that's so unique. And it would just, oh.
Can I tell you that I love y'all using a Star War in the singular? Yep. That's great. We need to get her in a Star War.
A Star War, that's right. I always give credit to Arrested Development when she says, here's $20, go see a Star War.
That's great. That's the mom, right?
Yeah, the mom says it. Yeah. But yeah, I use that quite frequently. So yeah, Angela Bassett, like, Corey, does she have a spot? Do you want her in a Star War?
Of course. And honestly, I've thought about this, even if it was subconsciously. As soon as she got in the MCU, I think my brain probably started fan casting a little bit because it would make sense. But yeah, I mean, not many women have as powerful of a just like stand there and have such a statuesque, like, oh my God, we are in the presence of glory right now.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, I could not be more for this. Absolutely. It's about damn time.
You're 100% right. And I think that Christina, first of all, before I talk about the rest of this, I love seeing flashback clips of the show and we look at the power on the screen because you have newsman Clayton Sandell, Oscar winner Hal Hickel, Ash Crossan from Entertainment Tonight, and of course, Christina Ariel from StarWars.com. We're like, and then you, like, all these cool people come and hang out with us.
Yeah.
No, not and you afterthought, and you as one of the cool people who come and hang out with us. So always good to get flashback clips going on. Yes, Angela Bassett for sure. Like, especially if she's, one of the things I've loved with Star Wars recently when they cast people is they cast people who want to be in Star Wars. It's not just a job. They're picking somebody, and she may not be a huge nerd. I mean, she did Black Panther, a couple of those, and was fantastic in that. But like, she may also recognize the game that Star Wars has and goes, yeah, I'd like to be a part of that as a part of my career. So you want to see somebody do that. Did you ever read the Aftermath books that came out? Gosh, I don't remember, 10 years or so ago. They were the Chuck Wendig books.
I did not know.
They kind of filled in that time. Well, there you go. Well, they're really good. And they fill in that time period leading up to Force Awakens, in the Battle of Jakku and all that kind of stuff. And there's a character, and I think this is kind of the general consensus we think, possibly could be where Angela Bassett is heading. There's a Imperial officer named Ray Sloan, and Ray Sloan is essentially one of the key figures who shepherded the Empire as it tried to hold on, as it tried to transition into, becoming the First Order, and was this central figure. And if you look up, you Google, Ray Sloan and comic book images, you're looking at it going, that's Angela Bassett, right?
It's like, did they draw her? Yeah,
exactly. She's a
kinda
badass.
Like how they literally did that for Samuel L. Jackson, like before they cast him as, oh my Lord, in
Mace Windu.
Not Mace Windu. I'm talking about in the MCU.
Nick Fury.
Nick Fury, like before they cast him, the comic book artists, when they redid him, they just started drawing him as Samuel L. Jackson, like this is who it should be. And then it just worked out. So it might have been some of that. Just like, look, this should be Angela Bassett.
Yeah, without a doubt. And again, she has such gravitas as an actor.
Oh, yeah.
That, especially as an Imperial officer, like if she's in there, that clean cut uniform, hands behind her back, people are walking in and they're scared of her. Like, you're going to feel that on the screen. You're going to feel that with, you felt it with Peter Cushing as Tarkin, 45, 50 years ago.
Oh, Jesus Christ, man. Like, who else would have been that dude? Like, with him, man, before he even delivered a line of dialogue, and if you hadn't even set him in the Empire, if you had just opened the movie and didn't even have the title crawl to set anything up, if you'd have opened the movie with just him sitting in a chair, every single person in the theater would have went, he's on the bad team. That guy is what I think this movie is an allegory for Nazis, and he's one of them. 100%. Yeah.
Well, and it's great because if you look at the old original artwork that came out with Star Wars in 77, the same artwork that's on the McDonald's glasses that everybody has, the vintage ones, I've got the posters of them. It essentially lists Darth Vader works for Tarkin. Like, Tarkin was the badass. He was the top of the chain. And as it came out and as the movie became what it became, that shifted a little bit because, of course, 6'6" guy in a big scary black plastic mask. That's scary as hell too. But
it's funny how long it took for me to, like, I was older than I should have been before I realized, like, oh, Darth Vader's actually not the head guy in the first movie.
Right. Yeah. It just, you see, and again, just like you said about Phantom Menace, you come back to it as an adult and you start seeing all the, there's layers here.
Right.
And as a kid, it was exciting and it was,
fun
shoot and spaceships. And then you get it and you're like, oh, damn, like they're doing some stuff.
Yeah, I don't think that guy's paying his taxes.
There's
those
two
guys might be Chinese, and I don't think that's okay.
That's right. Communications disruptions only mean one thing: invasion, baby. Awesome. Well, that is going to wrap up the news for us. We are going to take a quick commercial break. And when we get back from the commercial break, we're going to take some time to talk to Corey. We're going to ask him some questions. We're going to hear about some Star Wars thoughts, some fandom and social media thoughts, and we're going to hear about all the cool stuff he's working on. So we will take a quick break, and we will be right back with more ATG Live. Welcome back to ATG Live, your Thursday night hangout for all things Star Wars, news, conversations, whatever the hell it is we want to do. I am Nick. I'm one of your hosts, and we are joined tonight by my co-host, who is also our guest. And if we're going to do this show right, I'm going to say, let's welcome our guest, Mr. Corey Ryan Forrester.
Hi, how are you? I'm Corey. Good to be here.
Welcome, sir, as if you haven't been here for the last 38 minutes.
Heidi.
And as I welcome you to the guest segment, and as we chat here for a little bit, I also want to shout out everybody who's watching in the live chat. Those of you that are joining us, thank you for being here tonight. If you're catching this on the replay, thanks for checking it out. Hit the subscribe button. Remember to add us to your rotation, whether it's podcast feed, YouTube, wherever it is. In the off chance, Corey, and I don't know how this is possible because, as you said, this is a very specific Venn diagram of you and us and Star Wars. In the off chance there's somebody that's watching or listening that doesn't know who you are and how you got here, tell us a little bit, quickly about who Corey is, what you do, that kind of stuff.
I'm a Croatian submariner who is here on an expired visa. No, my name is, I'm Corey Ryan Forrester. I'm a stand-up comedian. I also have a podcast with several of them called Putting on Airs with Trey Crowder. It comes out on Fridays. You can get it wherever you get your podcast. Got one called Well Read, comes out Wednesdays. You can get that wherever you get your podcast. And I have a Substack. It's over at bonuscorey.com. That's a cool place to find all the stuff that I'm doing on account of I don't tour much at the moment on account of I have a baby. And he is...
You do have a baby. He's
really
cool.
The apple of my eye. That's
right.
Me.
Excellent. And
also, I would like to say this. If you are near the Chattanooga area on March 2nd, what's that?
I'm just pointing at you.
Pointing at me. Yeah. If you're in or around the Chattanooga area on March 2nd, I am making my pro wrestling in-ring debut at the Scenic City Rumble. You can get tickets at scIwrestling.com. I'm going to get my butt whipped to benefit East Hamilton Middle School. They had a fire, and I'm going to be in the Royal Rumble, or excuse me, the Buttercream Dream. My alter ego is going to be in the Royal Rumble, and I'm very excited to be doing that. So if you're in Chattanooga, scIwrestling.com, get them tickets and come support the champ.
And what's the date of that one more time?
March 2nd, Chattanooga, Tennessee.
Not far away at all.
Come down, brother.
Well, that's fantastic. And I have to say, I first met you or reached out to you or pestered you to be on Podcast of the Wills a couple of years ago now, because during COVID, during lockdown, you were doing one of your videos that you put on Twitter, and you were going off on politics and saying a lot of things that I super agreed with. But as you were doing it in the space that was clearly in like a loft space at your house, on the wall behind you was some framed Star Wars art. That's and I thought, I like this guy. I've been following him. I like the things he says. And if anybody has framed Star Wars art on the wall in their house, they're enough of a fan that I want to go, hey, let's talk about Star Wars because we like the same thing. So that's how we ended up connecting up over the years. And you've come on and hung out with us a bunch of times. We always have fun. So I want to get into that for a little bit. And we talked about this for a minute before the show. You saved some of it so that we could get into it on the show. You're a huge Star Wars fan. You are also an outspoken voice, certainly on social media, when it comes to politics, when it comes to dumb people. And
I am a dumb person. I guess we're all dumb hating. Yeah.
It's just varying degrees of dumb. But I want to talk to you a little bit because this is certainly a conversation that Pete and I have a lot about the nonsense that we see in fandoms. Obviously, we see it in Star Wars. That's the circle or the pool that we swim in most of the time. I know it exists in Marvel, Lord of the Rings, Star Trek, you name it. Anywhere where a group of people
I find that everyone seems to agree with each other and be kind. I don't know of which you speak.
Exactly.
I see no toxicity if that's what you're alluding to, sir.
That's right. On that note, the chain is off. tell us what your thoughts are on some of this kind of negativity, some kind of this hatred, and how do you respond to it? Obviously, you make good videos and call people out, but
it makes the only thing that I've really ever said about this publicly, unless it was on this show, was I remember one time I made a video because I was like at my breaking point with like this specifically happened to me the other day where, and this is a particular type that I've never understood. I don't understand tribalism in anything, like at all. Like at least in politics, I can sort of wrap my head around it because in politics, there is like life and death policies at play. So it makes sense to me that someone would get passionate about that when, like, let's say, I don't know, bodily autonomy is on the table. I understand getting tribal to a certain point over that for sure. But when it comes to media and art and things like that, I do not understand it at all, right? So this has happened to me because I think wrestling falls into this too, right? I've had with wrestling. I've had this happen to me with, we're going to use Marvel and DC as an example, but it bucks up against Star Wars, right? Not long ago, I had gone and seen the latest Ant-Man, the Quantumania, right? And it was getting trashed online. It was getting super trashed online. And I went and seen it afterwards because I don't give too much of a shit what people say. Like, I like Paul Rudd and I like Ant-Man and I like going to Marvel movies. Dude, I've gone to plenty that I walked out and went, yeah, not really my cup of tea. Now, I didn't then go online and go, God damn it, Marvel owes me fucking money. It's a gamble. It's like buying fruit at the supermarket. Sometimes the banana sucks. I'm not calling Kroger afterwards. You know what I'm saying? Like,
that's exactly right.
You take a gamble. You know what I'm saying? I don't know what to tell you. It doesn't matter. I've had way more good bananas than I've had bad bananas. I'm going to be thankful for those. And I'm the type of person that, like, if I see something that I don't like, or I hear a song that I don't like, I'm going to move on with my fucking life because, and this is very important, I have one, right? Yep. I have one and I don't make it my entire personality. Anyways, I'd seen Ant-Man and Quantumania and I rather enjoyed it. And I think a large part of my enjoyment towards it was probably because so many people had trashed it. So I went into it with my expectations like super low and it wasn't complete dog shit. So I was like, oh, you know, I just put it on. I was like, hey, I just saw Ant-Man Quantumania. I really enjoyed it. Thought it was a good movie. And I was expecting people to come on there and go, if you thought that was good, you're a dumb motherfucker. But what I got was several people that commented and they were being serious. They go, I thought you were a Batman guy. You know what I mean? They were like, I thought you were a Batman guy. And I was like, what do you mean? And they were like, I thought Batman was like your guy. And I was like, he is. And then there's a couple people that are like, Marvel's or DC's better. And I was like, yeah, I saw the Batman too. What the fuck are you talking about? You know what I mean? All these people
you have to choose.
You have to choose. I'm like, bro, I've got more than an hour and a half a week. You know what I mean? Like, what are you talking about? And then it just blows my mind that there's these people that, like, number one, they make a brand, they make a corporation, their personality that they go to bat for them. Like, a person loves DC so much that they've got to go shit on all this Marvel stuff. But then there's people who have made Star Wars their entire personality. So now when a Star Wars movie doesn't live up to what they wanted it to be, there's people that, like, they call for Kathleen Kennedy's head. And I don't mean that as a figure of speech. I mean that is like old school medieval, like, we should go fucking kill her because they think that something is owed to them because they bought this much merch, because they've supported it, whatever the fuck. And there's sometimes where I want to go, okay, guys, I'm not saying, far be it from me to say only kids should enjoy Star Wars, because that's not true. I'm an adult and I enjoy Star Wars.
Right.
But sometimes you need to go, bro, you are 45 years old and it is kind of for kids. So maybe it wasn't fucking for you. Have you ever thought about that? Like, when the movie came out in 1977, right? That was the first one, right? 1977. Dude, it absolutely was made for kids. It's just that it was so goddamn good that everyone liked it. Right. And if you don't think that Return of the Jedi was, I mean, dude, everyone knows that was made for kids because the Ewoks were so divisive. Like, that's why a bunch of people shit on the Ewoks, because it was explicitly made to sell merch to kids, right?
Right.
They've always been for kids. It's just that they've been so good at the same time. Toy Story was for kids. It's just that it was so good that adults liked it. So the second you don't like Star Wars, all of a sudden it's them that did something wrong instead of it just wasn't for you. And I'm like, bitch, it never really has been. Do you know what I'm saying?
I do.
And nobody owes you a goddamn thing. And frankly, it's fine to not like something. It's totally fine to not like something. But the entitlement of, and I don't want to cause any heat because maybe y'all are friends. I don't know. But this Star Wars theory motherfucker, but here's my problem with him. If he, like, when he actually watches a thing and then comments on it, I at least go, well, you watched it, so you have the right to talk about it. But this motherfucker will, not even a trailer will drop. They'll just announce the concept of a show, and he's already got a video calling it woke. And I'm like, bitch, because there was a black person in it, so they just can't be in stuff now? They can't, like, they'll post something and they'll be like, I don't know, like some new Jedi's bald and he's like, oh, they're non-binary. And it's like, what? Oh, so I'm non-binary because I don't have hair? Like, what the fuck is going on here? Like, everything don't have to be made for you. And it's totally okay if it's not. But just like, go watch something else. And to hear these people talk about it, the last 9 things Star Wars has put out, they've hated. I gotta tell you something. Go find something else, motherfucker, because this shit ain't for you anymore. So at this point, you are purposefully watching something you don't like, which makes you a masochist. So go, instead of buying $30 tickets one after another, pay a lady one time $100 to step on your balls while you wear a gag, and then go to a therapist and be done with it. That's what I have to say about those people.
I mean, you heard it here first, folks. Corey has opinions about things. In case you didn't know that, here we are. Well, and I agree with you completely. And I want to get into another side of that just for briefly in a second. But you're exactly right. And I've said this for, years now. I always compared it to like a restaurant. If you go to a restaurant and you have a terrible experience, you're not going back to that restaurant. But these people go to that restaurant, have a terrible experience, and then they go back 5 nights in a row, pay for the food just so they can complain about how bad the restaurant. Like, why are you still here?
That's
I don't
perfect.
understand.
And well, the thing is, like, you might, if you've been to that restaurant a bunch and it was good, and you go and it's bad, you might go back one more time.
Sure.
If it's bad again, you might go back one more time. But after that, if you keep going back, that is your fault. That is now your fault. And if it's bad because the restaurant decided to change the menu, you don't get to call corporate and go, I want you to change the menu back, because motherfucker, it is not your restaurant. It's not your restaurant.
It's not. It totally isn't. Well, and I want to look at this other side of it for just a minute. You talked about Star Wars theory. You talked about having videos made before we've even watched things. And it's not just him. This is an entire industry at this point, which is clickbait, rage videos, like that fuels. And of course, you've seen it a bunch, and we've all seen it in our political landscape, where it's not about being informed. It's about being mad. And there's money to be made in being mad. And that's bullshit, because there are so many people in any fandom that are out there loving stuff, making content, having fun, hanging out with cool people. And, they get 25 views on a video. They get whatever. But if I decided tomorrow that we wanted to turn this channel into clickbait and nonsense and talk about how women are the worst, we'd make money hand over fist. We're not going to do that, because that's not who we are.
Right.
But it's infuriating that we've reached this point, I guess, in our culture overall, where that's the thing. Like, because believe it or not, people used to didn't feel that way about Star Wars theory. And early on, he was pretty, straightforward and straight-laced and had commentary, and people liked what he had to say. But one day, the dollars started rolling in and went, ooh, I can make money this way. And he's not the only one. A bunch of people do it. But that's really frustrating, because that also becomes the squeaky wheel that gets all the grease in a fandom.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing is, like, you're right. You could 100% do it. It's just that you're not, and this is very important. I've been in this business a long time. You have to have one thing in order to do what he does, and you don't have it. You are not a huge piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like, you have to be a huge piece of shit, or like, you know, at a certain point, people go, "Oh no, he's not really like that. He's just pretending for the money." If you pretend to be a piece of shit, you're a piece of shit. Unless he's literally, if he was acting in a movie, it'd be one thing. Right. But like, if you pretend to make your personality a piece of shit and hate women and make money, you're like, you are that. That is who you are. If you do it enough, you become that. And it's just, again, man, if he would watch a thing and make an educated go, I watched this and this is why I feel this is woke, or this is why this is blah, 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 I would still think he was pandering to a base of mouth-breathing troglodytes who don't deserve to smell my farts. But at least I'd go, he did the work. But he don't even wait till the thing is out. He just goes immediately to this thing. You know, they cast an Asian in a thing, and therefore, if this is not all straight white men telling exactly the story that I want,
the same story over and over again,
then it's woke and I hate it. And dude, like, again, I genuinely don't believe that he believes half the shit that he says. You know what I mean? Because I don't think that he's a complete moron, because he puts out it. Okay. I think the stuff he says is shit, but it's all well-made shit. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You can't be a complete moron and do everything he does. He's very good at marketing. He's very good. Like, you know, I think it's actually dangerous when we look at the people like him and we just immediately go, that person's an idiot, because we're kind of letting him off the hook. Then you're letting him off the hook by going, he's an idiot. It's like, no. Bad. You can't call bad people idiots, because then it acts like it's not their fault. You know what I mean? He's an asshole.
I mean, dude's got 3 million subscribers on YouTube. He's got more. You know, there's design behind it. There's a lot behind it. Well, I mean, we could go on for this for a long time. We're not going to, because I want to get into a couple other fun things. There is, and we talked a little bit about this when we talked about the Acolyte, there's a lot of Star Wars on the horizon. There's a lot of things to be excited about. You mentioned Bad Batch, I think, before we got on air.
Yeah.
You've seen a little bit of it. The new season's dropped. We talked about Acolyte. I filled you in on that. You did watch Andor, I take it. We finally, I know a while back, you power walked watching Andor while you were walking in the park.
Sure did. Yeah, I loved it.
So we've got season 2 of Andor on deck, you know, being shot, almost done shooting, if not completed shooting. We have Skeleton Crew, which is going to be the Jude Law show that's going to be about kids lost in space. Has like an old Amblin,
live action?
Yes, live action show on Disney Plus.
Pumped.
Yeah, that's going to be good stuff. We have, of course, had the announcement at Celebration in London last year that Daisy Ridley's going to be back. They're making another Rey movie. That's exciting. We have
the story.
It's going to be supposed to be the refounding of the Jedi Order. Like what's going to happen with Rey, you know, creating the new Jedi Order is kind of the tagline that's been given to it. The Mando and Grogu movie that we talked about in the news segment, that's going to be coming out. So there's a bunch of stuff on deck. Of all those things, what excites you the most?
Dude,
just based on what you know.
Well, man, I mean, Mando and Grogu movie, probably just because I love going to, like, I love that show so much. Like, that's probably my favorite Star Wars thing of the past. Well, save for Rogue One, because Jesus, dude, that movie just rules so much. But like, of the Disney, like, Plus era, probably like Mando, because like, man, just like, I love how short the episodes are. I love the like old school, like just Western serialized thing. And I love going to the movies. And so seeing them on the big screen is going to be awesome. However, and I remember hearing about Skeleton Crew, but it kind of ethered, and you reminded me of that. And the fact that Jude Law's in it. I love Jude Law so much. He is dreamy. So that's probably that's definitely number 2. Number 3, I think I can get behind a Rey Jedi Order I can get behind that for sure. Yeah, I think that they're going to really work hard to try and wash the stink off all the criticism that they faced for the sequels and stuff. Whether some was deserved, some was undeserved. And I like her and I like Ray. So, I mean, I could get pumped for that.
And I think something that's exciting, of course, there's been press for the new movie that she's got that just came out in the last little bit. She, of course, even in her press interviews for that new movie, is being asked Star Wars questions. And with this, new movie on deck, I really like that she said this story is something she's excited about, because she said she was glad to say, now hit me again in 5 years and let's see what you got. Like, she wasn't in a hurry to come back to this. She wasn't opposed to it, but it was the story that made her go, yes, now's the time. I would like to jump back into this. So that's intriguing, because there's a good story and an actor who's at a place where she can go, I can take it or leave it. So show me what you got. And if we're not ready, let's try again when we are.
Yeah.
So I think that's really intriguing.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Based on the little bit of early press that we got. So that's the beauty of Star Wars, is there's always more stuff on deck. And I love that we're at this place. And like we said, talking about, being mad about it. If it's not all for you, that's great. The next thing's on its way. And maybe that one is for you. Like, keep moving
enjoy
along.
Or rewatch all the old stuff you liked. And guess what? There is a ton of other movies and shows out there. I promise, because I watch
it's all out there.
I mean, I live a privileged life, and technically, like, watching movies and TV is part of my job description. Like, I literally watch at least 2 movies every day, 7 days a week. So I promise you, there's more stuff than Star Wars out there to enjoy. There is.
Without a doubt. Well, before we get done talking to you, you had a big 2023. You had a book come out.
Sure did.
You guys have a radio channel on Sirius. Like, there's all kinds of cool Corey stuff. I mean, you had a kid. That's a pretty freaking big deal.
Yeah. It was
tell us about, the big year that you just had, and what else is coming up. What can we be looking forward to?
Yeah, wrote my second book. It's a travel log around here and over yonder, which was great. I got paid. HarperCollins paid me to go to the Great Britain and write about my experience over there. I also wrote about my experience growing up in the South and all the rest of the country, from like my Southern point of view. So you can pick that up around here and over yonder. It's available wherever you get your books. It's also, I wrote it with Trey Crowder, by the way. And it's a series of essays. The round here part, that's about our experience in America growing up as Southern comedians. And like, basically the whole book is like when we're writing about New England, it's like what the stereotypes about the place is versus like what the reality is once we sort of got there. I kind of suggest you get the Audible version, because me and Trey read it. And so like you get to hear the words pronounced the way that we would prefer you to hear them said. You know what I mean? So that's cool. Wrote the book. Shit, man. Having the kid really took up a lot of the time, I guess. What else did I do? Oh, putting on airs just celebrated our 100th episode.
100th episode.
That was really cool. There's a couple things that I can't talk about, but that we've got done behind the scenes, sort of pertaining to the book. Okay. You can probably infer what that is. The book may become a thing. You know what I mean?
You never know.
That's kind of exciting. I'm currently working on directing my first series of short films. So stay tuned for that, which you can follow my Substack at bonuscorey.com. I'll be, posting updates on all that. It's a long time in the future, but I'll be writing and directing and starring in, because I'm cheap to hire for myself as an actor. All that. And yeah, man, things are cooking for me. It's been
outstanding. And you're still writing. You've got, the website, the newsletter, that stuff.
Yeah.
So
yeah. For being a stay-at-home, people can find me. Yeah. For being I took off. This was my year of taking off work to raise a kid, and I still got a lot done. So I'm excited to see what happens when I go back to work.
That's right. Eventually, you're going to have to go back and not just hang out with your cool kid all day.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Well, this has been a bunch of fun chatting. We're going to take one more break. You're not done yet, so hang around.
Okay.
We're going to take one more break. When we come back, we're going to get into our intercepted transmission segment where we're going to look at some of the messages from the chat. I think we have a voicemail. So we will be right back. Welcome back to ATGLive. I am one of your hosts, Nick Mielke, and I am joined by my good friend, Mr. Corey Ryan Forrester. The Buttercream Dream has been hanging out with us all night, having fun, laughing, sharing some, mild opinions about things. Just a little bit of fun on your Thursday night. We have been hanging out also by all of our friends who have been in the chat with us all evening, and you have had some thoughts and some things to say. I think we have a voicemail, so we're going to hit our intercepted transmissions and hear what you guys had to say.
Where are those transmissions, you intercept?
All right. We are back with our intercepted transmissions. Producer Lloyd, video game expert, has joined us for some messages that he has been tracking through the night. And I think we have a voicemail. Do you want to hit that voicemail first?
I sure can.
Hey, fellas, it's Matthew again. I am sitting here on the throne doing some of my best Star Wars thinking, and something was bugging me about the episodes. And I just realized what it was that, in episode 2, that character Mox was actually Daniel Logan. I knew that voice sounded familiar. But young Boba Fett was in episode 2. Okay. Take it easy, fellas. Talk to you later. Bye.
I always love it when we get a dispatch from Matt from Enid, Oklahoma, doing his best Star Wars thinking.
On the throne.
On the throne, man. You got to do it. So he's right. Bad Batch season 3 premiered yesterday. We got the first 3 episodes of that. Exciting stuff.
Oh, there's 3 seasons? I thought it was just 2.
No, they did.
This is the 3rd season, and they got 3 episodes yesterday.
Catching up, bro.
Yep. So first 3 episodes were dropped yesterday, and he's right. Daniel Logan was in there as one of the clones that they come across in that 2nd episode.
Spoiler alert. Okay. Put the button, spoiler alert. Okay.
Yeah, it's okay. That's what we're doing here. You got to know what you're getting into with us on a Thursday. So that's exciting. And I thought Bad Batch was fun. Pete and I kind of went back and forth over text a little bit. Not that I need it to be an adventure-packed thrill ride. Not that it wasn't. I did spend a little bit of time going, okay, like I'm ready for some more. Like I'm ready to get to the point. I love, when there's a build. It was a little bit, slow for me, a little bit of a yawn. But
yeah, if it's going to be a cartoon, you kind of want it to be,
Yeah, I need a little action, but it wasn't. Certainly not mad about it, as we've discussed all night, and I can't wait to watch it more next week. Lloyd, where were you? Was it good stuff for you?
I couldn't look away. I'm gonna be honest, but
yep.
That's good in a visual medium.
Yeah,
it helps.
For me, I understand it's a cartoon. You kind of want it to be a little bit more snappy, but
yeah,
the tone that they set in season 2, I'm like,
yes.
I can deal with this because it's going to go out with a bang, no doubt.
Without a doubt. I think that's exactly it. And the build is totally going to be worth it.
Yeah.
And as I've said through all, the first 2 seasons and up through this point, they really are doing something special with the visuals and the music. Like it is a beautiful show to watch. And the Kiner brothers and the music that they are using to score this thing is it's cinematic quality. It's top notch.
Dude, the animation is so cool in that show. I really, really like it.
Mm-hmm. It really is fantastic to look at.
You can see it improve from Clone Wars to Rebels to this.
Yeah.
Yep. Sure. It the medium continues to improve and they can do so much with it. Like, I think I talked about it in the first season. There were some episodes where I caught myself being hypnotized by the backgrounds, not just the characters, because of how beautiful it is, how much it's very cinematographic.
Yeah.
That's not a word, but I made one up.
It is. It's a word. You just pronounced it weird, which I like. Well, that's kind of my whole shtick.
That's our deal. So
yeah.
Lloyd, what about messages in the chat? Who do we got a couple messages from?
So yeah, we got a couple. Eric Elliott says taxes and shit can be a streaming Star Wars ATG shirt.
I assume that I said that while I was talking about Star Wars Episode 1. Yeah, that makes sense.
You 100% did, and he's exactly right. That's a shirt perfectly on brand with all the other things we have in our store.
Man, I need to do stand-up at a Star Wars convention and write a whole bit about the prequels.
Yes, you do. You would crush. It'd be amazing. So, excellent. Eric, if we make that shirt, we'll send you one, buddy.
Me too.
Cheyenne also posted 120 million is for the film. This is back when we were talking about like budgetary stuff. But that doesn't include marketing, and they're going to throw about 40 to 80 million behind for marketing, bringing it to your standard 200, which I think is where that number is coming from.
For sure.
And I think a lot of people forget that like the film itself is not going to be $200 million. Like that includes everything.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. That was a good point there. Matthew, not on the throne this time, says that Ray Park is one of the coolest guys I've ever met. He knows that Star Wars is about the fans, and he appreciates the fandom as a whole. So I'm kind of looking forward to the Phantom Menace again.
That's just good to hear.
Ray. Yeah.
Yep. Good stuff. Yeah.
Anybody
else?
Yes. So Cheyenne has two more actually, and they were pretty good. So she says that she would love Angela for Ventress, but the only problem is that Ventress is also very physical. And I know that there's stunt doubles and CG, but Angela is the type of actress that may want to go all in. But she's older.
She's in shape. She got it. She's in shape.
Right.
I want to see her swing a lightsaber, though. I do.
Me too.
Yep.
Yeah,
let's do it.
But it is a valid point, And then she also says, this one's directed towards you, Corey. Shout out to the, I believe, old European Championship in the thumbnail photo.
That is correct.
Yeah,
that is correct. That is the European.
She lives on wrestling, so she recognized that immediately.
Yep, you are correct. That is what that is. That was a gift given to me by a belt collector. I'm in a wrestling belt collecting group chat, but I was the only one in the chat that didn't have an actual wrestling belt. I just happened to be buddies with him. And this dude, my buddy Super Dave, he just felt bad about that. And one day I just had a box show up at my house, and I looked and it was from Super Dave, and it said, "Hey, felt bad you were the only guy in the group that didn't have a belt." And it was the old Euro strap, which just coincidentally happened to be my favorite. And one day I was going outside and I was going to make a video about something anyways, which would have been like the first internet video I ever made. And for some reason, I have no idea why, I just put that belt over my shoulder, did the video, and people were so curious as to why I had the belt over my shoulder. That's the first kind of viral video I ever made. And then after that, I was like, wait, I should just make up a wrestling character. And I did, and it changed my career forever. So I thank Super Dave for randomly sending me that belt. So that's the Buttercream Dream origin story.
So fantastic. Excellent. Well, y'all, this has been a tremendous night. We have laughed a whole bunch. We have talked about Star Wars news. We've listened to Corey tell us all kinds of good points, and I agree with all of them. We're going to wrap this up. We're going to get out of here because it is Thursday night and people want to get on with getting ready for Friday, getting ready for their weekend. So, Corey, before we leave, tell everybody where they can find you on social media, how they can keep up with you.
It's at Corey R. Forrester on everything, Twitter, Instagram, and bonuscorey.com. That's my Substack. You can subscribe absolutely for free, but if you enjoy my work and it brings value to your life, I would love it if you would subscribe at the $5 level. I do cool things over there. Every Sunday, I have a character. His name is Pastor Petey Perkins, and he delivers sermons. And they're a lot of fun. I put out the audio every Sunday, and I write essays and stuff, and I do bonus podcasts over there. I do rants where I take a microphone out into the Civil War battlefield a couple times a week and just rant about whatever's bothering me, whatever's griping me, and post those. And then Putting on Airs, that's my podcast that I do with Trey Crowder. You can find that wherever you get your podcast. We talk about we're two rednecks that sort of talk about highbrow stuff. We talk above our station on things, and people seem to enjoy that.
It is a lot of fun. I've watched a bunch of those episodes, and you get to learn cool history stuff. You get to see things that again, from the perspective of guys who are, y'all are learning about it at the same time. And that's part of what makes it so fun.
And we're wrong a lot. So that's
good. But you can recognize it, and you can also still not be an asshole about being wrong. So
yeah,
it totally works.
I make a syllabus for every show. It's the most I'm currently, basically every week I go to college on a subject. And I didn't go to college, as I'm certain a lot of you ascertained by the everything about me. So it's very fun.
It's fantastic. I highly encourage everybody to check out all the stuff that Corey is doing. It's always fantastic. Thank you all for watching. Thank you all for tuning in tonight. If you're listening or catching us on the replay, thanks for doing that too. We love y'all. We love doing this. We will be back next Thursday night on Leap Day, February 29th, for another great show. Lots of Star Wars news, lots of cool stuff going on. So we're going to get out of here. And Corey, may the Force be with you.
And also with you.
Just one more round, friend, then homeward bound, friend. Don't forget me in your dreams. Just one more song, friend, and then so long, friend. The nights get shorter, it seems. Just one more rhyme, friend. Yes, it's a crime, friend. But you know time, friend. Time can fly. So it's good night, friend. Good night, but not goodbye.